went into this group of NHS nurses and we did a time management course throughout the day. And I reinvented myself that day as somebody who knew all about time management and who was super confident in delivering that that content. I knew absolutely F all.
For years, I was caught up in my job, my marriage, and keeping everyone else afloat. I forgot what made me me. Then I picked up a coloured pencil and remembered how much I used to love drawing. That moment showed me that creativity could be a portal freeing up space in my mind, space that wasn't filled with stress or worry. And in that space came a reset. I started to build new habits and little rituals. I realised I mattered too. I began creating time for myself, putting myself first instead of always last. That was the start of my creative comeback. And bit by bit, life lit up again. That's what living in full colour really is, having the courage to put yourself back in the picture, to feel brighter, braver and more alive. And that's what this podcast is here for, to help you find your spark and live in full colour too.
Oh, so let's talk about the joy of reinventing yourself, because that's quite exciting, isn't it? Because I think I've reinvented myself over and over and over again. With different jobs that I've had throughout my life, different experiences, you know, from just being a woman to becoming a wife, to becoming a mum, to becoming a divorced woman, to becoming a single mum. It's all reinventing, isn't it? They've all got different qualities and different ways that, I don't know, maybe we're supposed to behave, or we want to behave, or, becoming an artist in 2017, 2016, 2017. I wanted to be an artist leaving school at 15. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an artist. I was not academic at all. I was bright. I did the 11 plus. I went to grammar school. When I did the 11 plus, apparently I was in the top sort of 5%. But only because I was had extra lessons, and if I didn't do well, I got my hands slapped with a ruler. God, I hated that man. He used to make me choose a ruler. He used to make me choose a ruler that I would then hold my hand out and I would have my hand slapped with the ruler. I think I'd probably done something a bit naughty. I think I might. I think I might have carved "I hate Mr. Owen" into his chair. And he found it, which of course you probably would too, wouldn't you? And to be fair, I was only 10, 9.5, 10. Yeah, and then I had my hand smacked. So I don't think anybody deserves to choose a ruler and have their hand smacked, but I don't think anybody really deserves to have their name and that somebody hates them carved into their chair either. So I've reinvented myself from that person. But going to school, I was not academic at all. I didn't enjoy school. I have to say, I did not enjoy school. I had friends, but you know, I look at my older sister, and she was an absolute. She loved school. She loved learning. She loved, all of that kind of. Well, she looked like she loved it, and went on to be a doctor, a dermatologist, and everything. But I was just like, I couldn't really see the point in school. I was always a bit of a, not a loner, because I did have friends, but I was always very secure in myself. I liked my own company. I could play for hours on my own, make believe stuff and horses and all of that kind of thing. So school was like a big distraction, really. It just wasn't somewhere that I wanted to be. And I really loved art. I really loved art, and art at the school that I went to wasn't really a subject that they taught very well, I don't think. but I loved it, and that's what I wanted to be. I was like, I'm going to be an artist. So at 15, I left school and I went on to Harrogate College to do a BTEC in general art and design. And honestly, I think I had this crazy Irish teacher, Alice, and I can't remember what the guy was called. God, what was he called? I can't remember her name. I can't remember his name. But this crazy Irish teacher had loads of hair, and she used to put paintbrushes. She had paintbrushes stuck in her hair, and goodness knows where she is now. But um, I really didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I got used to get quite homesick, about stuff. And even though I was literally a bus ride away from home, I was just like, no, this is. I didn't like change at all. How different am I now? But I just didn't like change. And when you go to art college, and you kind of did all sorts of different bits and pieces. So you were doing the general art and design. So there was like some graphic design in there. There was photography in there. There was fine art in there. There was like all sorts of different elements to it. And some bits I really liked, and I really liked the graphic design stuff. Actually, I really liked the graphic design stuff, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and do a degree, fine art degree, and I wanted to kind of specialise in the graphic design stuff. But I wanted to be an artist. That's what I wanted to be, and I wanted to go to Preston, the university in Preston, Polytechnic in Preston, I think it was in those days. And when I didn't get in, and I was told that my portfolio wasn't good enough, wasn't strong enough, I, I, I mean, I must have been devastated. But I'm not the sort of person that kind of gets devastated for days and days on end. I'm the sort of person that's just like gets over stuff quite quickly, I think. And I was just like, oh, right, okay. And then my dad got me a job in an advertising agency. I was a tea girl for a little while, and then I got learned the art of paste up, and then I learned about typesetting, and I taught myself to type. And I remember I had appendicitis, and I was off work for 2 or 3 weeks, and taught myself to type on my mum's old, like proper typewriter. Um, which was one of the best things that I've ever done, I have to say. One of the best things I've ever done. So again, reinvented myself as somebody who wanted to be an artist and became a typesetter. Um, you know, and then I think I've been I think I've been really, really, really good. I think I still am really good at self development and learning things and wanting to do new things and actually wanting to be as good as I possibly can be at what I'm doing. So it's never been, I want to be the best at, it's more, I want to be as good as I possibly can be. And that has worked really quite nicely for me. So moving into oh gosh, I'll never forget when I was reinvented as reinvented as a manager. I used to work for Aviva, and in corporate, I don't know whether anybody's worked in corporate before, but what tends to happen is you get good at your job, so you become good at your job. And if you're good at your job, you tend to get moved into like a managerial position. Not always, but sometimes. Um, but you don't get any training as a manager, you know? So I was put in this managerial role. Great, like brilliant. And you kind of look around you and you look at how other people are managing and you try to kind of emulate what they're doing. You do what you think a good manager should do. And it turns out that that's not what good managers should do at all. And I can't remember what year it was. Must have been about 2012, maybe 2012. And a lot of things happened at the same time. And this is where I really reinvented myself. But a lot of things seem to happen at once. We had a big, again, if you work in corporate, you'll know all about this big 360 where basically the crux of the matter is everybody basically tells everybody else what they think of them. And then you get a report back that says, well, so and so thinks this about you, and so thinks this about you. You're like, oh shit. So I had a big 360. And then I also did I was writing at that point and competing. And there was a day through British Dressage of coaching. And it was was it in Grimsby? It was in Grimsby. And it was at this sort of top level dressage rider's house. And she brought this coach in to do a day's coaching for dressage riders. And I was like, that sounds like a really great thing to do. So me and a friend went and we did that. And it was nothing to do with my work or anything. But at the same time, I'd had this 360. And the report for my 360 came back that basically said that I was a shit manager. Nobody like, not that nobody liked me, but nobody liked my managerial style. Um, and I kind of got the gist that I was being managed out of my role. Um, and then this coaching day for the dressage came at just the right moment because, yes, it helped me with my dressage and all of that kind of stuff, but it also it introduced me to a whole new level of thinking that I didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know, and all of a sudden I'm like thrown into this level of thinking about, we did transaction analysis, we did this, we did that, we did the other, and I was like, oh my god, if I'd have known this before they put me into that managerial role, I would have known how to communicate with people better. I would have known how to get the best out of people. Just that one day literally transformed, you know, how I wanted to behave towards people. It was immense. So consequently, what happened was I had this 360. I then had to make a decision, basically in my head. Do I rebel and just go, well, what a load of absolute nonsense, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm a great manager? Or do I go, wow, okay, so now is a really great time to reinvent how I'm managing people using my newfound knowledge of this stuff that I've learned on that coaching day? And that's what I did. That's what I decided to do. I was like, no, I'm going to use this. I'm going to, do you know what? I'm going to listen to what they're saying and I'm going to change how I behave and how I communicate. And it was unbelievable how everything changed at that point. I think we became like the best performing team. I was working for like an outsourcing company at that point within Aviva. And it was incredible how things changed and how my relationships changed and how much easier it was to kind of work with people just by using these things that I'd learned in that one day. So reinvention again, you know. Um, and at that point I was riding, I was competing, and then of course I ended up having to have my hip replaced in 2014, which I hadn't envisaged. I mean, I don't think anybody at 44 would envisage having their hip replaced. But there we go. So I had to again reinvent myself as somebody who, you know, was no longer riding every day, was no longer competing every weekend. That's a difficult thing to do. That's a, you know, because horses were very part of my life at that point, and I've always loved horses. I've always ridden, and then all of a sudden, not to be able to do that for a period of time. I did get back on again, but not for very, only for a couple of years. Again, reinventing yourself, you know, and all of these times where you reinvent yourself, you could, or where you maybe have to reinvent yourself, you have to think about reinventing yourself. You could go down the route of the woe is me. You could go down the route of why should I have to do this? You know, I could get really depressed about this. You know, oh my goodness, I can't ride anymore. That's it. My life's over. You know, and it is really hard. It's really hard. Um, but I didn't. And I was just like, right, okay, on to the next. What's happening next? And actually, what happened next was that I took a long time off work. I was very lucky. I was able to take a long time off work to be able to recuperate. Um, and as it happened, I ended up deciding that I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to work in corporate. I didn't want to be that person. Actually, I trained my team up to cope without me, which is what, you know, is a really great thing to do. And I decided I wanted to be a coach. So, and actually, before I went off with my hip and everything, I'd kind of decided that I wanted to take my coaching a little bit more seriously. So I self-funded myself, and I put myself through the ILM level seven, yeah, level seven coaching degree, coaching and mentoring. So deciding then that, do you know what, I would really like to become a coach. Um, Finding a job as a coach, um, being offered a job by the company who I'd actually done my coaching degree with was amazing, and reinvented myself again. Um, which was, again, it was, it was great. It was difficult because you've got a whole different scenario, different workspace, different people to work with, different ways of doing things. I was sent off. I can remember being sent off to do. Oh my god! I look back now and I'm like, I cringe so much. I was sent off to do a time. Um, oh gosh, what was it called? A time management course to a group of NHS workers in, it was somewhere Sunderland or somewhere like that, and it wasn't supposed to be me taking it because I have no idea about time management. I don't know any of the structure or the learnings or anything, and um, the person who was supposed to be taking it couldn't take it, and they were like, "Bonnie, you can do it." And I was like, "Well, I don't know anything about it." So they gave me a crash course the day before, and I went into this group of NHS nurses and we did a time management course throughout the day. And I reinvented myself that day as somebody who knew all about time management and who was super confident in delivering that that content. I knew absolutely F all. But I got through it, got through the day. We had a great day. We had a fantastic time. Loved it. They all loved it. They gave great feedback. And there we go. I ended up doing a strategy workshop as well. No idea what I was talking about. But I got through that as well, and they really like that too. So do you know, you could, if you put your mind to it, and you just go, do you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. If I know the basis, and I've got a kind of a bit of an outline about what I'm doing, I'm just going to do it, and it'll be fine. And for me, it generally has been. That's so funny. So just sometimes you have to reinvent yourself day in, day out. Um, you know, and becoming a mum, that was a major reinvention. Anybody who's had children, you get pregnant, you're really excited about your baby, then you have it and you're like, what the hell actually has just happened? And your life and your head is just literally taken over by this tiny small thing. Then you have your second child, and it's like, this is just so easy. I mean, I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I was like, this is just so easy. Why did I think it was so difficult when I had the first one? Well, it's because you know nothing about children. And by the time you've had the first one, you've kind of been through, everything. Um, and of course, when you get to the third one, it's just feral. Just does what it wants to do, and that's still the case now. He's 21 now, and he literally just does what he wants to do. But it's just reinventing yourself all of the time. And when I became, when those pencils arrived in the parcel on Christmas Day in 2015, I knew that I wanted to do colouring for mindfulness, but I had no idea how they would make me physically feel and how they would then take me on this journey. I know it's a cliche, but it's been that. I had no idea that it would take me on that journey of creativity, and then what creativity would make me feel, and then what that would open up, and then so that those pencils have basically made me an artist. I've reinvented myself as an artist, became a full-time artist in 2017. 1st of January 2017, I'd quit my job. I'm there, full-time artist, that's it. And I've been a full-time artist ever since. Reinvented myself as that. Reinvented myself as a business owner, for goodness sake, because all of a sudden I'm an artist. I'm wanting to do art all day. My mum's like, how lovely, darling, you've retired. I've never worked so damn hard in my life. I had to learn all about marketing. Luckily, I'd worked in marketing, so I knew an awful lot, and I loved social media, so that was a bonus as well. But I had to learn an awful lot about that. I had to learn about, work-life balance, which I still don't think I have. I think I have work balance. That's about it. A business owner. Um, then bringing my teaching back, because of course I taught when I was coaching, and I taught groups of people, and that was definitely, it was something that I was like, it'd be quite nice to be able to do that. Whether I'm going to be able to do that or not, I don't know. But the reason I got into teaching was because of my coaching personality, I guess. I just wanted to show people what I was doing and how I was doing it. And that was just like a natural thing that I did. Um, and then people were like, oh, are you going to be teaching? And are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? So then reinventing myself as somebody who taught, reinventing myself as somebody who had to learn how to use the tech to record themselves, because there were no videos out there then, not that I found anyway, that was like, here's your tech setup, do this, do this, do this, do this. No, none of that. You just had to buy stuff. I remember having a, a podcast conversation with Jean, who's the oil artist up in Cumbria, and we were both saying how much tech we've bought, how many wires we've bought, how many cameras we've bought, and it's literally sat in boxes or in drawers, redundant, because it was the wrong thing. I've got a flipping ring light sat here that I bought. I'm not even using it because it casts these things onto my glasses, and I'm like, well, that's no good, is it? I had to reinvent myself as like somebody who knew how to set tech up, who knew how to set lighting up, who knew how to edit videos. You're constantly reinventing yourselves, and I don't think people take credit for their reinventions. You know, if you've started drawing and then you're doing more of it, you're reinventing yourself as somebody who, as an artist, as a creative, as a, whatever. And I don't think we take credit enough for how brilliantly we're doing. Um, you know, doing a podcast, having to learn how to use the tech for that, creating an app. I now have my gorgeous Spark app, which I'm incredibly excited about, and I need to tell more people about it because it's brilliant. Honestly, I'm my biggest cheerleader. It's brilliant. It's this awesome app, okay, that supports creativity. So it's not an app where you're following tutorials. It's an app that's got, if you're feeling a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit grumpy or a bit down one day, or you're like, oh gosh, I can't do this, or for example, I find it really, really difficult to start a new piece. I just find it so challenging. It's so hard. It's almost like I've forgotten how to draw. I've got an area in the app where I've got these, you know, little 2-minute videos that just give you a little bit of motivation, a little bit more, a little bit of a jump start, if you like. I've got an area where I've got ideas of how to be creative in under 10 minutes. I've got a meditation centre where I've recorded, and again, I'm a biggest cheerleader, but gorgeous little short meditations. I mean, honestly, they're amazing. They're really gorgeous, creative meditations. You don't have to use them as a meditation, but you can do. And then I've got a little podcast section that's different to this podcast, but it's called From the Kitchen Table. It's just where I can chat about shit. I just talk about anything. We've got my daily affirmations that come through every day and just give you a little bit of motivation again. So, and the feedback that I'm getting from the app is incredible. It's amazing, and my members get it for free, so they just get it for free. And I'm now giving it to the public, and that's you get a free trial with it, and then I think it's $2.99, something like that, because there has to be a price on it because the content is invaluable. I mean, it's such great content, and it's there in your pocket. Honestly, and I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of it, and I'm loving that people are loving it. You know, yeah, it's great. It's great. So reinventing myself for creating that, reinventing myself again as a leader, because of course I have a team now, and that is, I think I probably need to do a little bit. I need to work harder at reinventing myself for that, because it's something that I don't particularly. It's not something that I enjoy really. Is leadership and like that management side of stuff. I don't really want to be doing that. But of course, that, you know, as you grow a business, you have to get more people in to help, because you can't do it on your own. It's impossible to do it on your own. So don't think about all of the times that you've reinvented yourself, and be just super proud of what you're doing, because I think we reinvent ourselves on a daily basis. You know, we have to kind of go, you know, juggle things, and we've got to be this and we've got to be that and we've got to be the other. So just, you know, just be really proud of what you're doing. I think that's my message here. I could have said that in, like, I don't know, 30 seconds. Just be proud. That would have been it. But no, 25 minutes later, here we are.
That's enough waffling from me. Here's to living in full colour.